Welcome to the Look Scene series. This series will have dead times, not so accurate post production, and a lot of backtracking. This series is meant to be a deep lore analysis and 100% completion of the game. Thanks for your attention. Hellgods! Lasciate ogni speranza, o voi che entrate. I am Dante, or Jack, and I welcome you all back to Dante's Hell for the second episode of Lux Scene Mortuus Spatium. We are back in Dead Space, right where we left off, and we are ready to get back into the run. We already start with something very different from the original. That is this line of dialogue from a crew member of the Ishimura. Very tormenting with everything that's happening. And now, before we get into the classic things like the cut of the limbs, everyone of us, especially if you're a Dead Space fan, you know what is here in a very fancy way this time, because it is separated at the moment. The plasma cutter. A beautiful, beautiful weapon. Plasma Cutter, a standard issue CEC mining tool, fires precision shots that slice through most materials. Very simple, classic Plasma Cutter controls, except not so classic from the original, because in the original, if you wanted to change the aim, yes, you needed to aim like this to change orientation. But in 2008, you had to reload while aiming. And the weapon would do this. If you had it like this, it would do this movement. Realigning yourself and then going back to how you had it aligned before. Let's get into the ring that we will talk about in another moment specifically, and let's get a read to the mission first of all. Get to safety. What the hell were those things? They got Chen. I'm cut off from Daniels and Hammond. I need to get somewhere safe. We lost Chen. Chen, for as little as he mattered into the original, now he also has a specific article on the EA official site that states Aiden Chen, a trusted member of Hammond's security team. Chen is also an experienced pilot, responsible for transporting the repair crew to the USG Ishimura. Chen's calm and cheerful demeanor belies his skill and professionalism as a security officer. Nothing too fancy, but the importance they gave to Chen is on another level in the remake, because I wouldn't be talking about him if this wasn't something very, very specific. We also got a weapon, the Plasma Cutter, and well, in the game we don't get almost anything inside. There's no insight on the Plasma Cutter. On the original EA site, we get the plasma cutter. This compact cutter fires bolts of ionized plasma that cut easily through most surfaces, making it a cheap but versatile mining tool. It can be readily modified though. Some upgrades may cause the plasma to become unstable and ignite surfaces on contact. This little jiggly laugh is given because in the original game, the special node at the end of the power-up system in the original game gave the plasma cutter the possibility to burn necromorphs. And while on the EA side for the remake we get that beautiful but very little information on the plasma cutter, if we go to the wiki fandom of Dead Space, we get something more. And that more is the specific model for the original plasma cutter. Because the original plasma cutter is the first and most common, the 211V plasma cutter, designed and manufactured by Schofield Tools. It is designed for mining operations, and it uses 2 alignment blades on the side and 3 lights on the front to help the user accurately cut through softer minerals. It has an internal power source and is compact and light to be easily portable. It can even be used one-handed. That is a lot more information if we put it in confront to the EA side. The plasma cutter delivers a cohesive pulse stream or bolt of ionized plasma when fired. It is capable of firing bolts vertically and horizontally. The plasma cutter is very accurate, utilizing 3 blue lasers to help his user to cut accurately through minerals. On impact, the bolt cohesion fails frontward first, penetrating the target with a focused jet of superheated matter. This causes intense localized shear effects, as well as a tunneling thermal expansion. When used on brittle, frozen rocks with faults, it can split them open in 1 or 2 shots, if in skilled hands. Against pliable targets like meat, flesh, and muscle, however, impact will cause minimal damage and thermal expansion will not so much cut as stress the area around the impact site, sometimes requiring several consecutive hits with non-upgraded tools. This tells us why cutting necromorphs isn't exactly as easy as it should be when you read the name plasma cutter. It uses plasma, it's called a cutter, it should go straight through. Well, you're wrong, it's a plasma cutter but for softer minerals and not pliable surfaces. And here we have the ammo. And more credits. Now the ammunition gives us a little insight in the game. If we go to the inventory, that is ammunition for the plasma cutter, small gas cartridges, fuels the cutters in ionized plasma balls. Speaking of ammunition, plasma energy, from the wiki fandom, tells us that the plasma cutter utilizes variable capacity cartridges called plasma energy as its ammunition, which is capable of cutting down hard, mineral-laden rocks in mining operations. Though seeming to only contain stored energy in them, plasma is in fact highly ionized matter, so either the cartridge is a combination battery plasma medium, or the cutter itself contains a reservoir of usable materials to carry the ion charge. So, while here we have this gas cartridge, in the original we charged the gun with plasma. Here we have the classic melee and foot stomp. Beautiful sound on that. And as we move on, we get to fire a gun for the first time. This is complete new dialogue, by the way. Let me give you a hand. Ah, the poor man. And here we have our first friendly enemy. A slasher. This is one of the necromorphs. Specifically, what is called a slasher. Now, while the game was getting ready to come out, they actually released on Twitter what is called personal log from Dr. Mercer, someone we don't know. And there's some observations on these creatures. One of these is personal log, Dr. C. Mercer, observations. A few are still recognizable even after their transcendence. It's basically telling us that some necromorphs still retain the looks and likeness of the person they were created for. And that is a very disturbing fact. From the wiki fandom, we get that the slasher is the most common form of necromorph. This necromorph is called a slasher because of his specialized bone protrusions that are his main weapons. In little words, these blades. Those are blade protrusions the slashers use to hunt prey. The slashers are the most common form of infection because they are made to spread the infection, and that is making more bodies. They kill a prey when spotted. Anything that leaves gets killed by the slashers. How the slasher is born is a modification of the body. The original arms usually get synced into the main lower abdomen, and their intestines basically disappear. Their jaws break into two, splitting apart, and they walk using elongated bone legs that have their heel bones protruding out. That is because it helps with crawling into vents and running faster. That also means that they are on heels all the time, and that is balanced with their blades. In fact, when we see a slasher walking around, we see the blades moving left and right, or forward and backwards, because they need to keep their balance. Also, the little arms protruding from their lower abdomens are, at least, are thought to be what allows a necromorph to walk even after they lose their lower legs. And they are useful to crawl in vents, as much as I know. This poor guy is dead. Now, as much as I know the game, because as I said, it's not my first playthrough, there should be same things, like this one. I hope I got some of you. And there should be things I don't know about. Some scares, some attacks. Because the game is modeled to keep you on your toes, even when you are not doing anything. And that is because they designed something very interesting that we will talk about as soon as we get to another more steel part of the game, where we just have to kill necromorphs without talking about anything else. And here we have a security phone.
Security request retrieved.
It didn't die. We shot that fucker right between the eyes and it didn't die. Smith had to shoot its fucking arms and legs off. For God's sake, send help!
What we just heard is a security call, because this is a security phone, and when you push this, your call goes directly to the security stations nearest to your bridge on the Shimura. Benson, that is the person we just heard talking, just talked about dismembering one of the necromorphs, most possibly. And we can get some of these phone calls and get it into our logs catalog. The log catalog is what stores all the logs and shows you if you missed a log in one of the chapters. This is for chapter 1. And for now we are doing a pretty good job. In chapter 1 there are 2 missable logs that I will specify when are and which are when we reach them. For now, we just move on, knowing about the dismemberment. Also, I resetted the tutorials, as you can see, so we can see what the tutorial feels like when you start a new game. Not a lot is told about small med packs or med packs in general. We don't know how it works. It's gel, medical gel pack that restores a small amount of health. That is more of a gameplay description, the small amount of health. What is interesting to us is it's just gel. It's basically gel that tells us what happens when you use it. It's medical gel that somehow heals even slashes from slashes.
Isaac. Oh my god, Isaac. You made it.
They're everywhere. Shen, is he,
He's gone. Nothing I can do. What the fuck are these things?
the ones I saw? Some of them were wearing Ishimura uniforms.
They're the crew? How the hell can they be the crew? Look at them.
We need to get to the bridge. There's 1,000 people on board. Someone will be there.
We can't. The tram system's wrecked. Everything's locked down because of the quarantine.
And you're both repair techs. So how do we do this?
There's a broken tram car blocking the tunnel. It's gridlocked the system. And the data board's burned out. I can't lift the lockdown or call the tram until we get a spare from the maintenance bay. But it's all on Isaac's side of the quarantine.
I'll handle it. Just make sure there's power to the repair systems.
And Isaac,
Yeah?
I'm sure Nicole's okay. She's a doctor, right? She'll do the smart thing.
Yeah. Yeah, she always does. Find somewhere safe. I'll be back soon.
Get the tram running. Loads of little screens. Looks futuristic, alright. So, right now we have a main objective that needs sub-objectives completed for it to be completed. The main objective is get the tram running, and that says, among things, we'll find help on the bridge, but the tram station's offline. Once I make some repairs, I can call a tram. To do this, we need to complete A. Replace the damaged tram. A broken tram car is blocking the whole system. Fortunately, it made it to tram repair, but I need to get it off the tracks. And B. Daniel says a data board in tram control is fried. I need to find a replacement, but something's not right. Those boards don't burn out by accident. So Isaac may be thinking that it's not been an accident. Someone sabotaged the data board with the tram coordinates and threw it out. Now, if you want, you can get whatever mission you want. You can set this, go to track objective, and it will show you where to go with your tracker. That is, very kindly, already installed into your rig. What is a rig? A rig is the system that you see on the back of Isaac. It differentiates itself from what your mansion is. It is pretty popular among everyone around after the 23rd, 22nd century when it was invented. They are used to track someone's health, and based on your occupation or job, you'd get different types of rigs. For example, Ammons does not have this little, semi-circle thing that Isaac has. That's because what Isaac is wearing is a standard engineering level 1 suit and rig. And a standard engineering rig is usually correlated with a stasis module and a kinesis module for a blocking things that, are pretty dangerous for everyone, like blades and other things that engineers usually have to deal with, and a kinesis module to move heavy objects. The standard engineer rig is the most basic form of resource integration gear, or rig, available for engineers throughout the course of their employment. It resembles the standard astronaut rig due to the fact that it is almost skin tight and has a small projection system for holographic displays. In the original, Isaac's ID tag could be seen on the left of his chest when you wore the suit, and it disappeared when you upgraded it to another level, like the level 2. The tracking system in the original brought you to shops, benches, and safe stations, while in this version, the remake, it takes you only to the objective with a blue straight line and the title of your current selected objective. And there we go. A very close thing I want all of you to pay attention to is the sound design in this game. They had an entire presentation on it, and for good reason, if I can say what I think about it. This person, at example, is wearing not an engineer suit. That helmet is of a standard mining suit. Very different from what we are wearing. And here we have a closed door. This door tells us that security clearance level 1 required is needed, and we don't have it.
Security clearance required.
But where do we see what clearance we have? In the rig hologram menu, we have a clearance right where the suit level is, in the suit section. In the suit section, we get level 1 suit, air 70 seconds, armor 0%, and the clearance, we got a little star and the 0. That means we have clearance level 0, and what we needed to get into this door is clearance level 1. And you could tell me that, but if I don't remember where the door is, what can I do? Answer simple. It gets checked on your map with a little shield icon and a 1 on top of it. We will talk in detail about the map in another moment. For now, I want to at least get to the tram. So we are approaching one of the missable logs, and that is after you pick up the stasis module right here. This explains how to use stasis, but if you use it immediately, you will miss a log, and that is when Kendra
Reading a door malfunction between you and the maintenance bay. Can you fix it?
No, but I found a stasis module. I'm faster than
this is one of the 2 missable logs in Chapter 1 in Dead Space Remake. Well, in the first one, she will stay nonetheless, no matter what you do. In this, you could miss that if you immediately use stasis on the door. Now, stasis is, for what we know, a form of ejection projectile that could be shot like this to slow things down. There are no specifics on how it works or why it was needed. I suppose it's for things like this and other mechanisms. But it helps with slowing things down, and it is very important not only in the original 2008 when you're playing Impossible, it's very helpful even in this one. And we will use it a lot during our Impossible run. Here we have a stasis pack, very basic things. You can read about it. Use stasis pack. Stasis pack restores stasis energy. As you can see, not very much is talked about stasis. It's like, okay, stasis is the slow agent. It freezes and makes people slower. So, remember, this is it. Something did just happen. I wonder what. Only log progress at save stations. We should not. The bathrooms. Beautiful, beautiful bathrooms. I found a man inside the vents. That little writing there tells you about how they found people already changing in some places. A dead man in the vents means that he got into them, and when he died in them, he just got turned into a necromorph and just stayed there. No problems asked. Stayed there and then brought the others. Yes. He told me to bring the others. Dangerous situations, and that little moment where everything went dark and Isaac starts agonizing about something. We don't know exactly what it is. I mean, I know. But for now, something went wrong with the lights and an headache, whistles in the ear.
Isaac, don't bother shooting those fuckers in the head. Doesn't even slow them down.
Okay. The only way is hacking them apart. Those arms, their legs.
Does that even kill them? Or do they just stop moving?
It does kill them. It's called strategic dismembering. Oh, according to the fans and everyone else. And if you're curious,
Vents into engineering. You got a stasis module handy? We need one in tram maintenance stat. The autoloader's fried. I got a damaged tram car on the tracks, and if the whole system's gridlocked, guess who they're calling? Temple here, sending a stasis module now. What happened to the autoloader? No idea. A lot of shit's been breaking down. I keep hearing things. Down in the gears where no one could be. You know? I know.
as I was saying, okay, strategic dismemberment is exactly what it sounds, because if you shoot the arms, they can't attack you, but they can bite you. If you shoot the legs, they won't stop coming at you, but they will be slower. You have to decide, based on the enemy as well, what you're doing. And this little locker on the wall, this contains nodes. Nodes, not much to talk about them. They are little pieces of tech that basically upgrade whatever is on your hands. You upgrade your rig, you upgrade your guns, you upgrade your stasis, you upgrade your kinesis. Everything that works with electronics works with nodes. That's not how electronic work, and I can say that because I am a IT specialist. That's not how IT stuff works. For nothing. Now, a lot of you will remember this part. We are probably about to get ambushed by every side. Two sides,
Systems online.
two possible spaces
System reinitialized.
from which necromorphs can come and eat our faces with plenty of space
Autoloader malfunction.
for
Please
them
contact
to run
repair
and
technician.
none for us to run. Manually attach close to initial repairs. Does this. So, here, not too much time has passed from when we got our first missable log of 2. But here, we have the other one. Because if we try to get the claw walking, and there they are. I was saying, if we try to get the claw walking a couple times, and it just gets detached, we will get a call that counts towards the log. The logs are calls with the enemies and or with the crew members you got here with.
Disengaged.
So if we...
Any luck moving that tram car?
Ow.
Great. But hurry. Okay?
If
Sound
we
carries down here.
don't get interrupted, that was the second missable log present in chapter 1. And these two are the only ones that you can miss. Well, as long as we don't talk about the collectibles that are the ones you find on the floor and stuff like that. After you do it 2 times, Kendra will call you and tell you that you need to use the stasis module.
Placing damaged tram car.
Now we will get attacked again by more necromorphs. Slashers, specifically. Because they are funny and friendly. There he is. And there's the other one. Could I possibly be dying so soon? Could I be dying in my impossible run? Just as I started? This is why playing and talking is hard. Remember, I am very impressed by those that manage to give entertaining commentary and play the game well at the same time. They are gods in what they
Got
do.
it. The tram was jamming the whole system.
That's one down. You said a data board was fried too?
Inventory says there's a spare board in the maintenance bay. We can't run the trams without it.
Woo! So, we almost lost the run. And I'll tell you, I already started the impossible run twice. Not because I died, but because I did other things. And that is bringing me to madness. Because if I play as I usually play, and that is being silent, that would not happen. But again, I have to get used to talking, no? Our second meeting with a new species of necromorph. I won't say the name yet because I promised to talk about them when we kill one. But for now, no talk about that. But that is a dangerous one for our impossible run. And in the original, you meet the first one right here. This necromorph came out. This is another variant of the slasher. This spits acid. Something that the other ones don't do. And the acid ones are usually female crew members. I don't know why they made the spitting ones crew members, but as you can see, they have a different structure on their face, while the normal slasher usually has a split jaw. Here they have like a funnel that spits out what I presume is acid bile. And as much as it is disgusting to say, that's what it is. And before we go along, the last 5 minutes will be spent talking about the rig. Here, we get our rig. This is the inventory with our weapon wheel, basic inventory, a new addition of the remake, the key items, and currencies, being credits for buying, that is our cash, and nodes, our little power supplies, to upgrade weapons, rigs, and other stuff. We then have the suit tab, which indicates the level of our suit, how much air we have to breathe in space, how much armor, so what the defense from an attack is, even if I never managed to get myself a table with necromorph damage, like how much does a slash from a slasher do, or a grab. That's not something I managed to get. And then the clearance level, the star and the 0. The tutorial just talked about the map. The map has changed a lot from the original. Now it is flat, while in the original they tried to give it that futuristic look, and you could rotate it on the X and Y axis to sort of look at this 3D map on the screen that was very confusing, so I much prefer this. And as every map, it has a lot of functions and a lot of little icons and colors. You see 2 types of colors. And that is because it has become much of a Resident Evil style map. If we go into the legend, we get a description of the icons. And where we have elevators, tram systems, gondolas, safe stations, circuit breaker, oxygen, stasis, shop and bench icons that are the more common ones in maps. We also get the little arrow, very common, a white square to indicate open doors, a lock for locked doors, and as we can see we have clearances from 1 to 3. So there's no more than 3 security levels that we can get throughout the entire game. Except for that little shield with the star. That is a master override door and a master override crates. That is something that we get with a side mission, and it is the maximum security override code to open every door available with a security clearance. We also get to the more Resident Evil style things, and that is the room color. This light blue room is an explode room, and this grey room, grayscale room, is an unexplored room. Now, unlike Resident Evil, they don't stay red if you don't collect what's in them. They just turn blue once you step foot inside them, and they don't turn grey anymore. They don't tell you what's in them. They don't turn red or another color if there's stuff you can pick up in them. They just turn blue as long as you have stepped over the door. We also get the floor system with triangle. So now we have floor 1 or floor 2. That is a very nice addition. We can recenter on Isaac. And we get this blue limping line that takes us to our next objective. And that is here. This little green triangle, as you can see in the main objective up there on missions. We also get in the legend the side objective indicated with a small rectangle. Well, it's a square, a yellow square. We then get the main objectives that we talked about and the log that we talked about. So, before I give everyone in here an headache, that is all for the second episode. I know it's going very slowly, but I don't care. This is how I wanted it to be, and this is how it's going to be. I am still myself, and that is a very silent person when I play, especially when I concentrate on doing something. And talking while I play not only is unnatural for me, but it is also very hurting when you play on a very high difficulty. But for now, that's it. Agat, thank you very much. And as always, I'll see you all again quando torniamo a guardare le stelle. Goodbye, everyone.